All right, so in the last video, we learned how we can open up a project and get started on our Hello Project world. Well, I've also added some text since then, and not much, but a little bit, just kind of as a review. I put some comments in here in my head tag just to remind myself that in the head tag is only things that I need for the browser to be able to render the page. I have a title. I added a comment to let me know that everything that's in the body tag is just for our viewer. It's for what we're actually putting on the web page. So I just added a little bit of extra text. But I wanted to show you some great settings that you might want to apply here in VS Code. So the first thing in VS Code I want to show you is I have added this text, but you can see that I have the dot. The dot indicates that I have not saved this file. And so I can come in here and select File, Save, and obviously that's going to save. But another setting I want to show you that's really, really handy is if I click on File and I select and check mark the Auto Save. The beautiful thing about that is now that I have that set, it's going to stay. Now if I make another change, and I'm going to add some text here, I'm just going to paste some text in that I happen to have into memory. If I notice how it's saved automatically. So I don't have to ever worry anymore about File, Save As. So that's kind of a handy little check mark there. All right, what else can I show you? Well, let's see. I'm going to go in here to the View. And under View, there's I'm going to start here. There's this thing called Word Wrap. So as you can see, I've pasted in a whole bunch of text. And that text doesn't fit in the width of the editor that I have on the screen here. It extends further. So in order to read it, I have to do this scrolling thing, which may or may not be is kind of inconvenient unless you kind of like the compact code there. Or text. So you can choose to select Word Wrap. And if you select to do Word Wrap, what you'll see is it's going to wrap just like you would in a Word document. It's wrapping it so it's visually easier for me to read. It's not extending across the page. So that can be kind of a handy tool. So I offer you Word Wrap here. Sticky Scroll is may or may not be useful for what we're doing, but what that does is on this web page, I have different tags, and you'll see as I scroll that those tags will stick to the top as I continue to scroll. So I can see the body sticking as I look through the child. So you might experiment with that and see if that's something that you like. Next, I want to show you Appearance. So if I click on Appearance, there's different options for the way that tools that I might have available to me here in the editor. And some that I'm going to point out obviously suggest that you play around with the ones and find out what you like. Menu bar is this up here. I'm not going to go through all of these. I would expect that you'd want to experiment with it. But the ones I want to bring your attention to are the mini map. So the mini map can be very handy. That's toggling this little mini map up here. So if you have a lot of text, sometimes it's much easier just to sort of click on where you want to be in the text, and that'll take you to where you are in the code. Breadcrumbs can be handy. Breadcrumbs is this piece up here. So if my cursor is in this big chunk of text right here, I can see the nesting that's going on from parent to child to grandchild, or however you want to look at that relationship. So that can be handy. That's what breadcrumbs is. And let's see, what else do we have on here? Render white space. So that might be handy for you. That's these little dots right here. So kind of a standard when you indent is to indent 4 spaces. So that indicates that automatically when I had that, when I indented with the tab, it indented it 4 spaces. So that might be a handy visual for you. Again, all optional tools you may or may not be interested in using. Another one that I might bring your attention to, you might enjoy, is if I click on this little gear icon down here and I go to Themes and I go to Color Theme, there's quite a number of baked in, out of the box themes that you might want to play with, so that way you get a visually pleasing color scheme that you would like. Some people like the lighter background. Most people program with the darker background, and then there's different color variations of that. So I would encourage you to play around with those. So that's sort of an introduction to some of the options that you might find useful here in Visual Studio Code.